Hi, I'm John Zimkus, and welcome to the City Show. And yes, we are in the city. Lebanon has some of the fantastic parks in this part of Warren County, and we were here with the person in charge, Casey Burdick, the manager of the Recreation and Natural Resources for the city. Well, I want to say welcome, but I also want to thank you for bringing me into part of your domain here, of what you're in charge of.
Absolutely, welcome.
Now, where are we?
So we are at Colonial Park West. If you don't know, Colonial Park is actually the city's largest park. It covers 136 acres and has 4 separate entrances.
Now, where are the 4 entrances?
So Colonial Park West, the main entrance you'll notice is right across from the fairgrounds. We have Colonial Park North, which has a ball diamond, our new skate park, and a playground there on Monroe. There's also Colonial Park East, which is a little east of that. You're probably most familiar with that because it has 4 ball diamonds and a couple of t-ball fields. And then Colonial Park South, which is actually directly behind the post office.
Okay. Now, are the 4 entrances, are the 4 areas of the park connected by trails at all? Or can you get from here in west to north or to east?
Yes, so we do have a brand new walking trail system, kind of new. So there was a trail system before. It kind of became defunct and not used very much. So we now have a new and improved French Run Trail. So you can actually walk from any of the parks to any of the other parks at this point.
So the trail connects them all.
Correct. So yeah.
And how long a trail is it?
So altogether, it's 2.8 miles. You can add a little offshoot trail up to Colonial Park North and probably get pretty close to that 5K that everybody kind of looks for when they're walking and running out with their friends and family.
Now, where does the name French Run come from?
So one of the creeks is actually called French Run. So the main creek that kind of cuts through the park is Irons Run. And if you're familiar with the swinging bridge, French Run cuts through, and the nice waterfall there at the swinging bridge is actually where French Run comes out.
Now, these all feed into the north branch of Turtle Creek?
That's correct. So right around the area of the Broadway Barrel House, and then it connects on down through the middle of town.
Okay. And French came from the French Creamery, which was here, 130 or so years ago.
Right. So yeah, the French Brothers Creamery is kind of well known. As you're walking the trail, you're going to see some artifacts and some different things out there. Bits of pottery and glass bottles from where the milk was stored. We found some old barn foundations. So we're constantly learning more and more about the history of the French Brothers as well as this land.
Now, as I understand it, well, in 1910, the French Brothers Creamery merged with Bowers Ice Cream, I believe it was. And it became French Bowers. That's a name many of you may remember because it was, I think it was in 79 when that was bought by Myers Dairy. But for a lot of people growing up in the area, French Brothers Bauer was very, very a popular name. How long were they here? Because they bought it from the...
Right. I don't recall exactly, but they were here for quite some time. Yeah. And their main setup was actually directly behind where the post office was. So on the other side of the streams, kind of in that high spot, that's where the majority of their buildings were and their setup before the post office was even thought about being placed there.
Is there anything left?
Not that I've found, other than just little artifacts here and there. I haven't been able to find any good foundations or anything from their buildings.
Now, I did read that there was a large barn, which was well into the mid 20th century, but was that torn down by them or was that torn down by the city?
I'm not sure who tore that down, but I think that was placed where the old shelter used to be.
Okay.
So I'm guessing most of the remnants were removed when that shelter was built out there.
Now, you see there's a waterfall. Natural? I mean, not something that the city created or anything?
No. So actually, we were excited. So the main waterfall there by the swinging bridge, it's really beautiful. I think it rivals Horseshoe Falls over at Caesar Creek. But as you walk around the French Run Trail, especially on the the west side of the park, you're going to see 5 or 6 other waterfalls that are rock bottom. They're naturally occurring. So it's definitely a little hidden gem that our residents can enjoy now.
Well, it definitely sounds that way, and I must confess, I have not explored it. And I've been here for quite a long time. Now, this is the largest. How many parks does Lebanon actually have?
So altogether, we have 18 unique parks. So I count all 4 of the Colonial Park entrances as one park. All of the Harmon parks. So you think of Runyon Field, Roberts Field, Sarah Polly Williams. Those are all one park in my mind as well. So 18 altogether.
No, I know of Miller Park, Ecological Park, and I know of Jared's Park. What other parks do we have?
So we kind of break our parks into different groups. So I think of community parks. Let's start there. So community parks include Miller Ecological Park up on the north end of town, kind of near the junior high. We have Colonial Park, of course, and our Harmon Park, and then our bike park, which is a cool, unique feature of the town. So those are our bigger parks that bring in people from our community as well as other communities. Then we have smaller, we call them more neighborhood parks. So Pleasant Square Park, Tecumseh Trail, the Jared Park, like you mentioned, Hunter's Run. So those are a few of those. And then we have a lot of little kind of mini parks, pocket parks, we kind of call them. So those are more scattered around our downtown, like Gazebo Park next to the Golden Lamb. A lot of people think that's part of the Golden Lamb, and it's actually a city park. We have Cedar City down by the railroad tracks. Christmas Tree Park, that's always a fun one during the holidays. Bicentennial Park, which is getting that brand new stage. And then there's many more. It's hard to name them all right off the
There's
top.
the one across the creek from Berry School.
Oh yeah, Barry. We have that.
And there's a new little walkway, if you will, very beautiful, going from Broadway to where some townhouses are being built.
Right. And we're just calling that a cut through at this moment. We don't have a fancy name for that one. We also have the brand new park that is done but not open at the Parkside development going out of town. And it's called Shaker Hill Park. So, and there's a paved bike trail that goes through that too. So that'll come on board as soon as we can get access to that.
Oh, great, great. Now that's going to be, what, 50 acres or something like that?
It's a little over 60.
Okay. And then what'd you say the Colonial Park is?
136.
Okay. Now, the bike trail, which is Atrium Medical Center and Premium Health.
So Premier Health Atrium
Premier,
Medical
excuse me.
Center Bike Park.
Yeah.
I usually just shorten that down to Premier Health Bike Park. Just
Okay.
It's a bit of a mouthful. No offense to our
Yeah.
Atrium Medical Center. Very much appreciate their support. That park is so unique. We have all different things for bike enthusiasts primarily. We have mountain bike trails, pump tracks that are paved. We have cyclocross course, a jump line. And all of these features are actually open to people who want to walk or hike as well. So I think those trails definitely rival the French Run Trail for some of the best hiking trails in the city.
And there's a mountain bike area.
Absolutely. So that's part of that. So there's about 6 miles of mountain biking trails. Now I will warn people to check our Facebook page or the CORA, the Cincinnati Ophir Alliance website, because we do close those trails when they're too wet or muddy, so we don't do damage to them. It stinks this time of year because they get muddy and we can't open them, but once we hit about June, they're pretty much open through October.
How many acres is it?
That's a bigger one. It's I think that's our second largest park at 112 acres.
And Harmon, how many acres include there?
I'm trying to remember. I want to say around 77, right in that area.
I do know when Mr. Harmon gave that to the city in 1912, it included the golf course.
Right,
And the number I always read was 88 acres.
right. And I don't count the golf course as part of the city's
Yes. I can
because the
understand
Harmon Civic Trust manages that portion of it, where the city manages the playground portions or the more play portions kind of for the Harmon Civic Trust.
that. Now, here in Colonial Park, we have a lot of different activities going on. We have baseball diamonds and softball diamonds. Now, I must confess, I didn't realize how different the two diamonds are. Where are they located and what's the difference?
So we have The diamonds are kind of spread at Colonial East. There's 4 diamonds altogether. I believe 3 of the 4 are primarily baseball diamonds and 1's primarily softball. Down here at Colonial West, we have 1 softball, 1 baseball. And then at North, it's a baseball. And I believe the one at North, I think, is Little League approved for their sizes and standards. So if you watch the Little League World Series, that's the size of field they play on. And then Robertson Runyon, they're kind of a catch-all, so about anybody can play. The biggest difference is baseball has a pitching mound, especially as the kids get older. And depending on the age of the kids, the baselines are bigger. Softball stays at a pretty small field. It's pretty incredible to watch those girls play, and they don't have a pitching mound.
Now, are there leagues which take advantage of that, or can citizens of Lebanon or the area play sometimes on those diamonds?
We have primary use with the Lebanon Youth Baseball and Fast Pitch Softball. So they have a contract with the city to have first use of our fields. We also work with Special Olympics. They do use Roberts Field weekly during the summer to have some games and practices. And then we also have a church league that uses Robertson Runyon on Friday nights. If there happens to not be something on the schedule, then the fields are available and open to our residents to utilize.
Now, there are playgrounds also, more than just Harmon Park. Where else will you find playgrounds?
So Harmon Park is probably the one most people think of. Pleasant Square Park has a very nice park, or brand new playground as well. It was built the year after Harmon's was. Let's see, we have a nature playscape at Miller Park, which is more natural type features. Jared Park, and Colonial Park North. That's another very popular one, and Tecumseh Trail.
Now, is there a skateboarding thing in Colonial Park now?
Yes. So just last year, we installed a new skate park. We had some teenagers from the local high school that wanted to go skateboarding, and the city has an ordinance against skateboarding downtown. So they came to us and said, hey, what's the solution for this? We want to skateboard and we want to do it the right way. So we kind of worked together, and we ended up getting that built here in the last year.
Now, as far as pickleball, the sport of the decade so far, how many different places can you play that?
So we have 3 dedicated pickleball courts on North Broadway, actually just not too far across the street from where we are in Colonial West. And then 3 of the 5 tennis courts at the Harmon Park are painted with pickleball lines. So it's not 100% perfect. The nets are technically a little bit shorter than a traditional tennis court, but you can definitely get a recreational game in there.
Yeah, the ones at Harmon Park, you can play pickleball or tennis on it,
Right.
depending upon which lines you pay attention
Correct,
to.
yes.
Okay.
And they're slightly different colors.
Okay.
So
Well,
it'll help you differentiate which lines are which.
Now, downtown, you mentioned Cedar City Park. I've noticed some new artwork popping up here and there, some sculptures in some of the downtown parks. Tell us about those.
So we have slowly tried to get in the world of public art. The first one was those beautiful butterflies we have in Cedar City Park, and the planting there is all pollinator friendly plants. So, it was like kind of a natural hand in hand, especially with the garden club next door and their annual butterfly release at Miller Park. It was a great relationship there. Faith Ironworks, which is a local metalworking company, came up with the design, and we were able to work with them to get that done. And that was so successful that we now have the tree, which if you look at it closely, there's lots of really inspirational and educational words on that tree that are part of it. That's in front of Barry's intermediate school.
Right.
And so that's part of Berry Park now. So we'll see how we go in the future if we end up with any more.
Well, that's great. I imagine a lot of people don't realize actually how many parks we have. They think of 1 or 2 Colonial and maybe Harmon, but they're really all over the place.
We're scattered pretty well across the city, and we hope as things continue to develop that we'll continue to be able to offer a lot of green space and places for people to get away from the hustle of the city.
Now, as far as studying nature, Miller Ecological Park, by its name, tells us that's the place we do the studying and have the programs. What kind of programs are there?
So, roughly the second Tuesday of each month, we offer some kind of educational programming, generally March through November. We've tried to do stuff over the wintertime and we just don't have great turnout. But we've offered everything from rain barrel workshops to last weekend we had an educational program about gardening. We've done bat walks. We do, I think coming up, we have an orienteering class. I'm going to do a talk on maintaining and treating invasive plants, or how to identify them and how to get rid of them, hopefully. We just offer a wide variety of things. So you can go on the city's website on the calendar and kind of see what's coming up. But we do try to do something monthly out there.
You mentioned orienteering. My daughter-in-law is from Bulgaria, and her nephew just won came in second at an orienteering contest in Spain. So for his age group, he's one of the top in Europe, at least. What is orienteering? Do you know?
Orienteering is using a mapping compass to get from point A to point B. So we have actually had the Cincinnati Orienteering Group here at Colonial Park, and they will hide little flags or reflectors or something out in the woods, and you get some information on how to get to that. And you have to use your skills of reading a map and using a compass and your pacing. So pacing is one thing you have to know too. So if you say, oh, it's 150 feet at certain degrees, you have to know how big your steps are so you can count that to make sure you're getting that distance.
So is it simply running or walking, or is there other parts involved in this too?
So it depends what level you go to.
Oh, okay.
So I know there's some groups, like here in Colonial Park, it was all on foot. But I've heard of them doing orienteering courses where you have to bike, walk, run, hike, and maybe paddle in a kayak or canoe. So it can get as complicated as you want it to get.
So it sort of sounds like Ironman contest, cross country, and knowing how to read a compass.
Right, yeah. Reading a map is very important.
Yes.
And
Oh, wow.
A lot of people have kind of lost that skill with the GPS you have in your pocket. And I highly recommend that people learn how to do it. It's kind of a fun thing. It's like figuring out a puzzle, like getting all those pieces put together. And so, yeah, if you're interested in learning more, I can't remember when, but check our website for when we're doing that orienteering class, and you can start to learn those skills.
Now, what other, Miller Ecological Park itself, you have the big trail, and you also can cut it short by taking a shortcut. But what are the unique things that are in Miller Ecological Park?
So everything there is done with ecology in mind, or kind of the environment in mind. So starting from right when you pull in, the parking lot is a permeable paver parking lot. So all the water actually runs into the garden next to it, which is a rain garden, and filters out before it goes into the creek. We have, the gravel path, which was originally installed by the Warren County Career Center. So that's a great partnership there. And then a lot of like the bridges that you go across, the Gaga pit, the bird line, those were all installed by Eagle Scouts projects. We have the big butterfly garden that's hosted or maintained by the Lebanon Garden Club. So they do so much work and it's so beautiful. We have a Girl Scout garden. We have a giant sledding hill, which is really kind of one of those lemonade sort of situations. Yeah. So that's just old debris from fill from a road project that has been brought in there to make a really cool sledding hill. And if you go out there on a snowy day, it's like ants on candy. I mean, it is covered with kids, and they have such a good time out there. As you work further back into the park, we do have the bird blind, when we have some bird feeders out there that you can watch birds.
Yeah, the bird blind, it's sort of like a walled area with a slit where you can look at the birds and hopefully not be noticed by the birds.
Right, and you have to be quiet.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
When you see something neat, you can't be loud about it because they'll fly away. We have lots of native trees planted out there. We have native prairies that we maintain. There's a labyrinth. So for those who are into meditation, they can go for a meditative walk in the labyrinth. And then that's just the front 45 acres. We have 55 more acres in the back there that goes all the way over to about the entrance of Bowman Primary School with another 1.5 miles of trails. So we have a cedar loop, we call it. Be careful going out there if it's been raining because it gets really wet back there. But it's neat once it dries out. We have resident deer families that live out there. And then a huge prairie in the back as well.
Now, as I understand it, I live on Carson Drive, which sort of backs up to that. The wooded area, which I think is now part of that, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't it have a little wetland area too?
So we do have a wetland there, and we have a little bit of signage once you get to the prairie loop.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully, someday our fingers crossed is we can connect the Ayler Cook Trail, which goes from downtown behind Barry's school all the way up to Carson, and then make a little bit of maybe a little cut through so we can actually get to Miller Park, which to me is just like the pinnacle of awesome to be able to walk from downtown all the way up to the north part of town.
Well, it sounds like that we really have quite the variety of parks here in Lebanon. And if you want nature, if you want serenity, if you want pickleball or softball or baseball, the city will take care of it.
Yeah, we try to make sure there's something for about everybody. And I've said for years, if you can't find something to do in Lebanon, you're not trying. I mean, look at our calendar. We have lots of great things coming out.
Well, Casey, thanks so much for being our guest. And thank you so much for inviting us to Colonial Park West. And hopefully when you're here next time, the weather's a little better. But it is a lovely place, and Lebanon is so lucky to have such a great park system. Take care, and I'll see you around the park.